Welcome to Training Trooper. Today we are covering the most effective range build, tried and tested, the Mentat Trooper. Today I'll teach you how to make an effective range build and cover my build to give you an idea of what works. From hundreds of hours of training and fighting in the deep desert, this is how to become a Mentat Trooper. So first I'm going to cover the weapons and the armor you'll need, and then we'll cover the skills and finally how to use them in a fight. So let's cover our loadout, weapons and armor that we need to survive the deep desert and defeat your enemies. So first up, the most valuable thing to know is that each week in the deep desert, weapon drops and their locations rotate and change. So you'll want to use the website Dune database so that you can search for each of these weapons and you will find the location of where it's spawning each week. And be aware, some weapons won't even be on the loot rotation for certain weeks. So first up, we have the disruptor pistol. This is the cornerstone of this build. The Regis disruptor pistol can be found in the deep desert on rotation, or the other pistol you can use in its place is the adept disruptor pistol, which can be found in the PvE zones of the deep desert. So this is a much easier way to start. This is the tier 5 duralinium version, and this pistol is a disruptor pistol, which means it takes down shields and destabilizes them. So with this pistol I can one-shot a lot of people's shields down, and then it means they're vulnerable to other attacks. It also has a high chance to stagger your enemies, which is very effective. The only downside of this pistol is it's a charge up before you can attack with it, so it takes a charge before you can actually shoot. So it does take a bit of practice to get used to, and it's got 4 shots, but each of these shots does 450 damage, and then as you'll see with the skills that we combine it with, this becomes very, very powerful. Next up in our loadout, we have the Regis triple shot repeating rifle. Now this again is a really powerful tier 6 weapon. This actually shoots 3 darts simultaneously laced with poison. And so what you can do is you can hit your targets even with their shield up and you can get some poison damage on them. So what I tend to do is take the disruptor first, destabilize their shields, and then hit them with the triple shot repeating rifle to take down their health and get poison tick on. So this is the tier 6. There is also a tier 5 version, the 5-finger triple shot, which is found in the contaminated zones, and this is a good place to start to test out the gun. The triple shot is great because it gives this build a bit more range, so when the enemies try and run, you can hit them at a distance and keep the poison damage on. Next up in our hotbar, we have the Dune Watcher. This is very much a personal preference. I don't get to use it too much. Like, sniping play in Dune is quite limited, but the Dune Watcher is a tier 6, again found in the deep desert. A very powerful weapon, but it's very circumstantial on when you'll get to use your Dune Watcher and snipe in Dune. But it's a lot of fun when you do get the limited chances to snipe. So I've still got it there just so I've got that extra reach, because this thing does pack a punch. Next up we have the Ancient Way, is the tier 6 rocket launcher. This rocket launcher actually can lock onto targets, and this was from the Landsred victory a week or 2 ago. So this is a very hard one to get, but you can get the cheaper version that you can just craft that doesn't have lock on. This is to combat ornithopters and also causes a stun effect on players, so this is very powerful to have in your arsenal as well when you're pushing tight areas. And next up we have our Jolt Sword. Obviously a melee weapon is imperative to have for finishing off enemies. I've actually been experimenting with using the Cope instead though in my build to finish off the enemies. The Cope is a tier 5 heavy dart pistol with 300 damage per shot and decent range. It's good to finish the enemies when you down them. So this, or the sword for finishing, because you need to finish your enemies once you get them down. And this next item, the life scanner, is of utmost importance. Make sure you have a life scanner, because what this does is actually allows you to scout and see enemies around you. So when you're in a tight area or you're scouting an island looking for your enemies, you can scan ahead and they'll come up as water signatures on your radar. And I also carry a las gun for when I'm raiding. So a las gun is another important tool to have in your loadout if you like raiding. Finally, for our armor, we have the Mendex helmet. Now this helmet is a heavy helmet because obviously we're going to be under suppression from fire quite a bit, being a mid to close range combat. we need armor, and so this has 283 armor. It has a negative dash cost, so it means our dashes cost more, so you need to be aware of stamina with heavy builds. And the Mentat is a 5.5 Duralinium tier, which makes it very effective. It's actually, in my opinion, probably better than using the tier 6 Chome, because it's got other buffs to it, and the armor difference is only about 25. So these spawn in the PvE desert, in the lower grids, in the deep desert, in the lower grids as well. Now I've been mixing up with a heavy light armor build now, so I'm using the advanced suspensor jacket, which is a light armor. It reduces my dash stamina cost and also gives me optimized battery for the suspensor belt. So that's why I use the advanced suspensor jacket, just so I've got a little bit more stamina and suspensor power. And we've been using the stim leggings, which stimulate the leg muscles, reducing stamina drain of dashing. Again, this is found in the deep desert in the PvE zones. Very easy to get, but very powerful, and stamina is a huge thing that you need in your builds. For our gloves, we have the station gauntlets. These are our heavy armor, and these actually give us negative 10% power usage. So when we're using things that require power, these help us to last longer. So that could be when we're using our suspensor belt, or when we're using our las gun. These are helping us out tremendously. And finally, for our boots, we have the Mentat boots. This is our heavy boots. Again, these have really good protection against heavy darts, and also the benefit of these is concussive mitigation. So when you're getting hit by rockets, these actually help you and give you mitigation against the concussive damage. I also have soft set boots to switch to. For our shield, we have the Holtzman shield generator MK5. This is a base tier craft. We have the full suspensor belt so that we can get around the map and travel as fast and as far as we need to. And we have the power pack MK6, which is the highest battery pack you can get. So this is our loadout that we're working with, but the Mentat set is very easy to get. So this will be sort of your baseline for getting into this build. That's our combat loadout. Now let's cover the skills. So for skills and abilities, we have 3 abilities to choose from and 3 techniques. And then we have the points that we can put into each of the training skill trees. Our main aim here is to obviously maximize damage output with the pistol, and also survivability, because we are mid to close range with this build. And we've also got some stuns and some movement controls so that we can line up our charge shots on the enemy. Okay, now for our skills, let's cover our abilities in the skill tree. First up, we have Shiga Wireclaw. This is a very important ability for getting around and being agile. Because we're a range build, we want to be able to move and escape if we get pushed by melee. So the Shiga Wireclaw is amazing, and this helps you to grapple away from dangerous situations, and also can be used as a stun if you shoot it at a player. Next up, we have the Sentinel, which is a turret that you can deploy, and when you have this at tier 3, this does substantial damage and suppresses the enemy and causes them to focus on the turret instead of you. And especially if they're melee, they have to be very careful, because this can do a lot of damage if their shield goes down. And finally, for our abilities, we have Anti-Gravity Field, which is a grenade that you can throw that actually lifts enemies off the ground and causes them to be disabled for a moment. And in the trap, you can actually damage them and push them to death, and when the trap finishes, they'll fall and you can finish them off. Be careful, this can trap you as well though. So that's our abilities for this build. And for techniques, we have Thrive on Danger, which means when we are low health, we regenerate health faster and receive less poise damage and reduce all stamina cost. So we can use our abilities and escape with this. So because our build is close to mid-range mostly, we need this for when we're pushed hard. Next up, we have Disciplined Breathing for our techniques, and this ability gives us increased stamina recovery rate. Because we rely so heavily on our abilities, we need to have increased stamina recovery so that we can pop the abilities and then have enough stamina to move and run away if enemies try and push us. And finally, I've been using Battle Harden recently, which actually reduces my ability cooldowns in the Trooper tree by 30%. So it means I can use Shiga Wireclaw faster, and it means I can use Anti-Gravity Field faster. Turret isn't in this category, but I'm actually looking at using Collapse Grenade instead of the turret to capitalize on the increased cooldowns, and this will bring them into the zone, and then I can capitalize with the anti-gravity field. But that's, again, personal preference. I'm just going over the broader strokes today. For our actual skills and where we put our points, we'll go over those now. We obviously have in Troopertree under Gunnery, we have range damage. We have 9% to increase our range damage. That's a no-brainer. Center of mass, I sometimes trade out to get extra body shot damage, but I found it to be minimal effect with using this skill, so I've opted out for more survivability at the moment. Field maintenance, so that when you use your guns, they don't take as much damage. And finally, I don't actually know why I put this in, but we've got disruptor damage at the moment, but apparently this doesn't affect pistols, so I still need further testing on it, but it did seem from our testing yesterday, when I had this skilled into 3 points, it wasn't affecting the pistol damage. And then next up we have anti-gravity field. This is the grenade that we can throw that actually puts them in the gravity well. We have suspensor dash, which is also another really valuable technique you can put into your techniques here if you want to be more agile. We have suspensor efficiency. This helps us to stop using suspensor power as much. And we have collapse grenade. Collapse grenade draws enemies into the center, and then you can put an anti-gravity on them because it stuns them as well. Obviously Shiga Claw to tier 3, so it increases the range. And we have battle hardened at tier 3 with 3 points in it, so that our ability cooldowns are -30, so that we can keep using Shiga Claw to escape and reposition. Next up in the Mentat tab, we have the Sentinel. This is the turret. We have this at 3. We have 3 points in the Sentinel because, again, this is very effective and very powerful. This can keep melees off you, and especially in solo fights, this can really change the battle and just keep shots on your enemy so they can't regen. We also have, obviously, range damage in the Mentat tree, so get this. And for this build, we want pistol damage 15% to get the extra damage on our pistol, and rifle damage to get the extra damage on our spit darts. Again, we have one in Garment Keeper. Out and about, our armor takes less damage, and tailoring for when we repair, so we can repair easier. Next up, we have the shield wall ability. We have gravity mine and then anti-gravity mine, which again I change out for anti-gravity field periodically. Because this is actually a mine you can place at your feet and is very effective for when melee teleport to you. If you want to trap them in this, and then you can fight them on your own terms. Fight is in your control. So very important there. And I obviously have source of power for raiding, because I do a lot of raiding. Source of power actually recharges the las gun while you're using it, so this is important for me. Again, you guys might not necessarily need this, so you can save some points on these, but this anti-gravity mine is quite effective, especially if you're running some testing stations and you want to trap an area. You can swap it out for the anti-gravity field, but obviously it doesn't get the cooldown reduction from battle hardened. Next up, we have in Planetologist, Cuttery mining, we have rerouting to get extra power regeneration and overcharge to increase our maximum power. Because I'm flying around a lot, I need that extra power, and for, again, the las gun. And we obviously have vehicle repair, which reduces the max durability loss when we're flying our ornithopter. Now, next up, we have a really important skill tree, and that is the Bene Gesserit body control. So we have 3 points in recovery. This increases our healing regen level, and we have sun tolerance 1 point, which increases the amount of sun we can take before we get too affected by it. We have trauma recovery technique, which again I change out periodically depending on the situation, and this will actually help you heal up passively when you're out of combat after a period of time. And finally, the most important one is vitality, which I've got 3 points in, and this makes your max health plus 55. We have self-healing, so that when you self-heal with a medkit, you get extra boost from it, and it's much more effective. And 1 point in poison tolerance, because a lot of people are running triple shots and darts that will poison you, so you want at least 1 point in this. Now, next up is Swordmaster, and this is surprisingly very important for this build. So you want to get the wheel, and so we have the deflection, then we have bleed tolerance, which actually is quite effective against melee players, gives us more survivability, and solid stance, which reduces poise damage, again very important to have. And finally, this gets us to thrive on danger, which gives us like a last stand ability. Basically, it's more survivability, because again with this build we're mid to close range. We need this survivability so that we can get back on our feet and escape. And next up, Another really important part of the Swordmaster tree is the way. We want to start with knee charge, then we get field medicine, so that when you use medkits you can get extra health immediately. And then finally, disciplined breathing is paramount. When you focus on the technique of breathing, you can recuperate your stamina reserves more quickly, so you get extra stamina recovery rate. Be aware you need the techniques equipped for this to work. And general conditioning means you get extra 25 stamina. So very important, because your abilities are draining your stamina, and if you don't boost your stamina when you use them, you'll be just left stranded, and this will mean melee guys will be able to come and cut you and you'll be stuck. Now, there's some abilities like optimized hydration that apparently aren't working too well now. I usually do have this, but we do not have it at the moment. But this is the spec that I have. These are the points I have skills in at the moment. Again, I've got a few wasted points here, so this could be streamlined a lot more than I currently have. For instance, if you guys aren't raiding a lot, or you don't think you'll be trapping, you could just not get any of these points in the tactician tree, and you could put them back into, say for instance, death from above, which gives you increased damage from above. Or if you're ranged, you could possibly get your energy capsule, so when you snipe you get that extra percentage. So this is just my build. This is just mostly personal preference, and I just wanted to give you guys a brief, like a broad outline of the build I'm working with, because I've had a lot of people asking for what I'm doing and what build I'm using. So listen up now, trooper, because we are going to use this in practice, and I will show you how this build will work out in the real world, out in the battlefield. So finally, we come to training and practice, and now I'll show you how this looks in action. I highly recommend that if you've got friends, you take them to a PvP zone in the Haga Basin and you train to your heart's content to get the rotation down. But basically with this build, we want to stagger the enemy and then put a grav nade on them, and then a turret in the area as well. That is the ideal scenario, and then we hit them with disruptor pistol. So in this scenario, I'm fighting Fats and he's a Swordmaster. I'm using the mine anti-gravity in this scenario, so when he teleports to me, he gets instantly lifted off the ground and he can't do his cut effect or can't capitalize on it, and he's in my control. I didn't capitalize on this one as much as I could have. I should have cut the mine earlier, because you can actually shoot the mine out from you. But this is basically how this should work, except hopefully you shoot the enemy down and then get out of the gravity nade and you're not in it yourself. In this next example, you will see how this build forces melee players to have to push out. They can no longer push you once you have the anti-gravity mine down with the turret, because with their light armor, they'll take too much damage once their shield is down. So it's very effective to get distance and counter melee builds that are trying to push you. And as you can see, the disruptor pistol stagger is very substantial, and it in a team is very effective. So this rotation is really great at countering melee, which is what a lot of people use. In this scenario, you can see I get pushed, I get the disruptor on, get a turret on, knock shield, and then get the grav nade down to push them away again, and they have to get distance, they can't be near me, and then I can push them off, and then I switch to my triple shot and get those poison ticks on, the shield is down, and basically at this point the fight is over for the enemy, because they need to go and heal and get this poison off them, and they need to try and run, and then I can chase. So very effective when you get the combo on. And this build also shines in the testing stations in close quarters. So we were stuck down in this testing station, there was 3 on the stairs, and I decided I'd head out with the anti-grav grenade and the collapse grenade so that I could draw them in and then anti-grav grenade them. And this was very effective, as you will see. So open up with the collapse grenade, which draws the enemy into an area, draws them close, then we put the anti-grav on. We got one of them caught, and so the fight is instantly over for this guy. He doesn't stand a chance, and we just get him as low as we can. We know that when that drops, he's going to drop, and he's going to be ready to be finished. And then we just need to finish him off, and that's one down as the fight opens. So it's a great opener for your team if you're trying to push out of these testing stations, which is a lot of Dune Awakening's combat right now. So great stuff. And then if you're supporting your melee friends, you can get your disruptor pistols on and stun the enemies in front so that they can catch up. and get on them with stuns, and you can chain stun and block entries and block exits. So here, for instance, I blocked the exit, so this guy tried to run, but he had nowhere to go except into my grenade, and at that point he's disabled, and it's just free shots and free kill for us. So very, very effective. I really recommend the anti-grav nade. Finally, in this last example, in practice in the open. So I was fighting this enemy in the open, hitting him up with the poison, getting the ticks on, tried to get the collapse grenade on, missed it. He jumped across, and I threw an anti-grav and got the perfect shot on. Got him stuck, and just enough time to slow him down and slow his escape so that we can finish him off. So very, very effective, and it gives you a chance to get the charge shot off with the disruptor pistol. Then the poison tick is just great because it makes it hard for them to run without healing, and all of this is to slow them down so that you can just chase and they have to basically engage. But when they're engaging, you can force them off again. So it's basically, it works both ways very effectively. And with the Shigawai Claw, you can chase your enemies very easily. It's very maneuverable. That's why we make sure to have the Shigawai Claw equipped so that we can capitalize on these chases once we've got the poison on and get to where we need to be as fast as we can, because otherwise the enemies can escape. So you really do need these movement abilities as well. And the poison ticks just do a great amount of work. But do not sleep on the anti-gravity grenade. It's the strongest part of this build because you can push out. Even in this 8v8, we were able to get the first kill on by trapping this guy, capitalizing on him and cleaning him up before the fight had even really begun. And then you've got the one up on your enemy. So it's a huge opener if you're in a group, or even if you're solo. It can really change the battle in your favor and you take control over the fight. So I hope it helps you on the battlefield. And do not sleep on this disruptor pistol because it hits so hard. Just one shot to some guy and then our melees teleport and finish him off. It's just such a great support and solo build. Especially with the stuns from the disruptor, it just slows down and traps everybody in their place. So this concludes our training. You should now be able to become a Mentat Trooper Trapper and take over the deep desert. Alright Trooper, that is our training for today. If you found this helpful, leave some feedback below. And also let me know in the comments if you have any questions or want any help with your builds or anything you think that could be improved, because we can always improve on these things. Get out into battle, Trooper, and we'll see you on the battlefield.